Hey, what's up? Michael Nicastro here. In this video, I brought in a fitness professional, my friend Branden Hayward, to share some tips on how you can stay healthy during this time. Also, I share my experience working with him on his online fitness training program where he digitally trains me. More about Branden. He's a personal trainer and nutritional coach who was a top performing trainer for approximately 4 years, specifically at the Equinox, New York City Flatiron location. Then in 2015, he started his own business called Sustain Your Change Inc., where he's a physique coach. He's trained over 240 clients and students in person and virtually. Additionally, he's competed in 3 drag pageants and has guided several famous drag queens in their quest to improve their physique. Lastly, and this is big for me, he's a firm believer in positive mental health and is a strong advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. So thank you so much for joining me on this call today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you doing this.
First off, I really appreciate you coming on. Obviously, during this time, there's a sense of anxiety with everything. I thank you for your commitment to your clients and your positive message. So let me tell you, Branden and I worked together for a short period of time at a restaurant. You know, you meet tons of characters at a restaurant. Some time had passed, we were doing our own lives. I went to China, Branden was doing his own thing. But then we realized we were going to the same gym. We were both going to the Blink Fitness in Chelsea. And from time to time, we would engage in small talk, ask each other how we're doing and whatnot. But eventually we started talking more about our passions, my being hospitality and his being fitness, health, and wellness. So Branden explained to me that he had created an online physique transformation curriculum last year, and he was in the midst of revamping it. He named it DreamBody School, and he offered me a seat in the program as a beta tester before it enrolled this spring. So at first I was skeptical because, I have the traditional mindset, like, in order to get trained, I need to have that guidance in person. So it was a little bit weird for me. But Branden, can you explain what your program is?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So back in 2018, I had been, lifting weights for years and years at that point. And I had a body that I was kind of proud of, but I had been more or less at the same level for a while. And I knew that my vision of how I wanted to feel in my body was not accomplished, that I'd had since I was a kid. My therapist once told me that having an incredible physique for me is like the holy grail. If this was a different talk, we could break down all the reasons why that's seeped into my psyche from a young age. But the point is, it's a goal of mine, and I had gotten 70% of the way to that goal, but I was nowhere near reaching what I knew my potential was. And in 2018, I was like, enough is enough. I need help from another professional if I'm going to take this to the next level. And that's when I reached out to a former colleague of mine who I met when I was working alongside him in New York City years earlier. And I reached out to him because he had an incredible physique, and I knew that he had not done steroids to get it, and he had a nice personality, which is really important to me in someone I want to work with and be vulnerable with. He had actually moved to Colorado. I live in New York City. There was really no choice because I trusted him. There was no choice that it was going to have to be virtual. Plus, I was financially in a position where I couldn't spend hundreds or thousands of dollars a month, which is what it costs to see a really good personal trainer in person several times a week. So that's kind of how it was born. And then I saw the results for myself. I saw the transformation start for myself. And I was like, if I can do this, I want to turn this around and show other people, especially the community that I cater to, how you can do this in a way that's very affordable, very much on your schedule, but still super tailored if that's the approach you want.
Thank you for that explanation. And long story short, I eventually decided to test out the program. Prior to starting, I was in a little bit of a rut. I had just come back from China. I was a bit lost and I was slacking on my workout routines. So prior to starting, I was maybe going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week with no clear routine. So this was kind of a blessing that came to me. And my goals were simple in working together with Branden. It was 1, to feel better about myself, mentally, physically. I feel like that goes hand in hand. 2, get leaner. I'm not that bad. I was just falling off the wagon a little bit. To be more flexible, I wanted to touch my toes again. And I wanted to remain around the same weight. I didn't really want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. I just wanted to get a little bit more toned. When I was starting the program, it was a 5-day-a-week training program. Each day focused on a specific group of muscles while integrating abdominal work, flexibility, stretching, and cardio. Basically everything. And it was a little bit tough at first, but I developed the routine. So Branden, can you talk more specifically about the workout program itself?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So as of this filming, there's 10 phases in the DreamBody School physical curriculum, and each phase lasts for 6 weeks. I just put in a new phase at the beginning, which are home-based workouts, because we're filming this in the middle of the COVID pandemic. But what you started with back in February was my endurance strength training program that is best done in a gym. And the reason why I put endurance training at the beginning is because the vast majority of my clients, if they've been working out before they come to me, they've been doing 8 to 12 reps with maybe minute and a half long breaks for a while. And what endurance training is, challenges the user to basically fail, which just means run out of steam while lifting, between like 12 or 14 and 20 reps. So it's a much higher rep range. Also, the breaks are much shorter. So that kind of serves two purposes. The first purpose is it's mentally a nice change, a nice switch up from what the person's used to doing. But physiologically, it's also really valuable because it forces the body to grow in a completely new way. It builds actually the muscular endurance of the body, which lays the foundation for future stages. And you mentioned that it has a lot of ab work, and that's absolutely true. Having a strong core, and I've learned this the hard way earlier in my life, so that you avoid injury while lifting. So that's like a really key component to all of the phases in the program, but especially the first several, to help ensure that the client is going to be able to get the aesthetic results they're looking for, but not hurt themselves along the way.
I think you hit the nail on the head. So at first, let me be clear, it was a little bit tough.
It should be.
Yeah. But it actually was beneficial. I was doing the program 5 days a week. Week by week, I got a little bit better. I started developing more habits. I started getting into it, and I had more of a routine. And let me specify, I wasn't really changing my nutrition. I was still eating basically whatever I wanted, which includes pizza and cookies from time to time because, I'm a restaurant person. Branden was still working on his educational nutritional platform, so I was just doing the workouts. But I'm happy to say that, working out 5 days a week, keeping my calorie limit to about 2,590 calories a day. Starting from February 13th, I weighed 152 pounds. And fast forward to April 11th, I weighed 150 pounds. Let's not even talk about the photos. I feel a lot better about myself these days. I'm more flexible. I already feel the definition. I don't need to look in the mirror. I just feel better about myself. And that was a big change for me. And it's only been about 9 weeks. So this is just the beginning. And I didn't even really focus on my nutrition. So I'm quite shocked in the results. So we're going to show some photos. And let me preface that I am self-conscious. So I don't like doing this. But I want to show you that you can get some result in a short amount of time if you really make an effort to change little by little. You see the photos. It's roughly 9 weeks following the workouts. It's a good start. I definitely want to continue. Also, I want to specify this is 3 weeks into our self-quarantine phase. So Branden actually adjusted the workouts to focus more on body weight and using some things around my house like dumbbells. So I was still able to get some results in about 9 weeks. So Branden, do you have anything else to add about my training period with you and my results?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before the interview, and I don't have body measurements to go off of here. And for the full comprehensive program, that's part of the process as well. Students take their own body measurements every 6 weeks, upload those, which we can also see. I mean, we've talked about this though, but just looking at your photos, it's clear to me that there's a pretty, noticeable change there, which is incredible. And I think it's worth pointing out that there's, as you just mentioned, a 2 pound roughly weight change on the scale. The scale is one of the metrics that I think anyone should use to track their progress, but by no means do I ever think it should be the only metric, because first of all, weight can fluctuate day to day based on water weight or, a whole host of other things going on. And so it should never be the holy grail of assessments, but it can be a useful tool. In this case, we see that you went down 2 pounds. However, when I look at your photos, what's clear to me, and this happens with a lot of my students, is that there was probably more than a 2 pound shift in your body composition. So what probably happened here is that you probably lost, I'm going to say 3, maybe even 4 pounds of fat, but gained 1 or 2 pounds of muscle. So that's a 4 to 6 pound, let's go in the middle. Let's say a 5 pound total body composition change, but because you lost some and gained some, it only reflects on the scale as 2 pounds. So just to help people keep that in mind with their own experiences, the scale never tells the whole story. It can be useful.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel great, and it really got me going, and I want to continue. So here are a few progress photos from some of Brandon's current and recent clients, plus a photo of Brandon's progress. And I think it's important to mention that a lot of people, and I just want to reemphasize, have this traditional mindset that in order to get personal trained, it's always better to do that in person so that person can watch you and assess you in the moment. But I think big part of that is just accountability. You know, you need someone to hold you accountable. You need someone to kind of walk you through it. But now we're able to have that accountability in different ways. And in doing this program, it held me accountable. It had a clear guideline of the workouts that I needed to do. If I had a question, I would watch the short video, which outlined how to do the exercise in perfect form. And if I had any additional questions, I could shoot one off to Brandon. So I think the main thing is accountability.
Everything you just said is spot on. Thank you for mentioning that. Additionally, with DreamBody School, students have the option of enrolling in a level where they can send me an unlimited number of videos of themselves performing their exercises, and I will offer them feedback and critique. I don't think I made this clear to you before, but I wanted to throw that in now. It's not the same thing, but there's a way to get virtually all of the benefits of that in-person training because I can evaluate your form and your pace. And also in my educational curriculum, Physique Fundamentals, which is the habit building portion of DreamBody School, I take the student through 13 lessons with videos where I break down everything they need to learn about the pace and the form of their exercises, everything they need to learn about protein, fiber, carbohydrates, dietary fat, supplements, recovery, mental perspective. And then I offer a transcript below the video of the lesson. And I also, in some cases, throw in links to articles I've written on the subjects that go into even greater detail. And I think it's important to point out that there's also, I think, a huge thing to be said about the convenience of being able to do this when it works for you. You know, getting to and from a personal trainer is not always convenient. And again, this is assuming that the individual has the hundreds or thousands to spend a month to get that level of consistent one-on-one attention in person. It's a more convenient method, not to mention more cost-effective. And it also allows me the ability to monitor and coach your nutrition, again, if you select that level as a student where you want that individual attention. So it actually offers something even greater than what most personal trainers are able to give their clients in their sessions, which is one-on-one personalized nutrition coaching. And that is such a crucial component of actually seeing and sustaining a change in the physique. So sorry to go off on a tangent about that, but I just wanted to throw that in.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think definitely fit to my lifestyle because prior to that, I claimed, I was a restaurant server. I work in the evenings and, I have my own schedule. We're on different time clocks, but this I could really adapt to my lifestyle and fit it. So I really appreciate your help. So I think the main takeaway is to maintain positive habits, have that accountability structure in place in order to get some results. So Brandon, I'd like to ask you a couple questions that could help the listeners right now. I know everyone is practicing social distancing. And like you said, your program is built around adaptability. You adapt to that person's lifestyle. I think we're all having to go through some new changes right now. So I want to ask you a couple questions on how we can best help people right now stay healthy. The first question, this is kind of a broad level question, but how do you recommend taking control of your health and how does one start?
So I want to point out that, while we're filming this in COVID pandemic, and there may be more than one wave of this in the next few months or years, even if someone's watching this at some point in the future when this is no longer an issue and we're back in our normal routines, the pandemic is a extreme example of something that is going to always be happening in our lives, which is variables coming our way, which throw us off, or in some cases, give us extra motivation. But the point is, life is like this. And so if you're always waiting for the perfect time, I can guarantee you, even if you find the perfect time, something will come along that changes it and it's no longer perfect. And so, this is where I'm going to give people some tough love and say, you kind of have to stop making excuses. And that's not to invalidate the reality that stuff happens.
Yeah.
And if you need to take time off, then take time off, but don't let 1 week or 1 month, become 1 year or 1 decade is my point here. So to answer your question, I would say you need to find the fire inside of you that is going to overpower your fear of change. Why is it important to you to change? Because if that fire is held close, then it's going to be virtually impossible to knock you off your game and keep you off your game.
Yeah, I think it comes down to believing in yourself that you're capable of something more, that you're capable of a new level. we're all capable of achieving great things.
Yes.
Okay, so especially these days, of course, you have to start with the mindset and taking action. But how do you recommend staying in shape these days? We're home, stuck inside our house.
That it depends on a person's goals and their situation. Like I can't give if I can give like a blanket recommendation, because some people watching this may have injuries or, access to certain resources that other people don't have. So I'll explain for me what's worked. I have very basic equipment. You can see on this bureau behind me, I have two 15-pound dumbbells, a bunch of weight bands, a foam roller. Those are some of the bands. And then I have like a softball for muscle releases. And then I have a traditional sitting bench that I've been using as a weight bench and a yoga mat. And I'm someone who's been doing this for years, and I'm, in very good shape, and I've built a lot of muscle, and I keep my body fat down. So I say all that to prove the point that I can make it work with these limited resources. Most of us can make it work with limited resources. There are some really cool exercises I show students in my program where, like, just with 2 paper bags on a hardwood floor or a table and a bed sheet in a door frame, that you can get really effective ab, chest, back, leg workouts in. So it's really about the mindset with which you approach it. If you have a can-do attitude, then nothing's going to stop you.
Yes. But do you recommend any specific concrete exercises to the viewers, like maybe some push-ups?
Sure. Push-ups are a great place to start. Bodyweight squats, planks, those kind of hit a lot of muscle groups, chest, shoulders, triceps, glutes, quadriceps, core. So yeah, those are 3 great ones just off the top of my head that require no equipment.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fitness professional, and going through your program, I noticed that there's stretching before each workout and there's warm-ups and cool down. So how important is that in your general fitness philosophy?
Basically, the way I train my students is the way that I've been taught through a couple of different people that I've worked with, and like then combining what works the best for me, which is I'm not the kind of person that goes on a treadmill for 5 minutes to warm up, and I don't have my clients do that either. I have them do really meaningful muscle releases, muscle activations that are accomplishing 2 things at the same time. On the one hand, it's, again, going back to what I said earlier, helping prepare the body to reduce the chance of injury during the workout, but it's also activating muscles, getting the body a little warmer, getting the body prepped. So it's a warm up and like a muscle release, muscle prep combo. And then in terms of stretching, I wish I could honestly tell you that I stretch on my own, but I rarely do. I try to get all that done before the workout. After the workout, I've usually worked so hard that I'm like, screw this, I'm done. And so far, it seems to be working well for me. Like my flexibility is decent. If stretching is important for you as an individual, then by all means, go for it. After the fact, After
the fact. I hear that you should stretch before or stretch after. I hear different opinions from different people. What is your opinion?
I think part of the reason you probably hear different opinions is because 2 things can be true at the same time. For some people, it's going to work well to do it one way. For some, it's going to work better to do it the other. I don't have a very strong opinion, honestly, about whether you should only do stretching before or only after or both. I think prepping your body with meaningful muscle releases that are going to relieve tightnesses and getting your core activated before you lift weights, that's really important for almost all of us to get a really effective workout safely. So I will kind of, put my flag in the sand for that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. No, okay. I like your general approach. I mean, people out there, you really need to get to know yourself and what works best for you. That's super important, not just in fitness, but in life.
Yes.
So let's talk nutrition. You're also a nutritional coach. So what are some foods or what type of diet do you recommend and why?
Depends on the person's goals. So I'll tell you this, one of the reasons why I let myself stay stuck at that like kind of mid-level for so many years was not that I didn't want an incredible body. It was that I was afraid that I couldn't give up junk food, which I loved so much. And I've had a lot of issues with addiction in the past, and food has been one of them. I didn't think that I could sustainably give that up and still enjoy life. And I knew that in order to have like a ripped body, but also, be pumped up, like you have to be so on your game about your nutrition. One of the biggest miracles of working with my coach has been realizing that if I focus on getting a lot of good stuff eaten early in the day, like my fiber-full foods, like vegetables, and my protein, not my protein powder for the most part, but my real food protein, then I have room left at the end of the day to reward myself with the foods that I like to enjoy. And so that offers me this incredible balance where eating the healthy foods early in the day that fill me up, it kind of blunts my cravings for crappy food. So at the end of the day, I can enjoy some food, but I don't need to just binge on it because I've had so much fiber and protein already in the day. And I go through this meticulously with the clients in the online program. But to answer your question, foods that are full in fiber, any food that comes directly from the earth without a lot of additional processing, so that's vegetables, fruits, quinoa, sweet potatoes, oats, those are great. Lean proteins are great, but I also think it's essential for people to know that they have room for pleasure and joy in their diets, because my motto is sustainability. And so I think there's room for both.
That's perfect. And I like what you said about eating of the nutrient-rich foods in the morning or earlier in the day, so you kind of fill yourself up. Because I know for myself, I usually work in the evenings, and when I work as a server, I feel this rush of energy and dopamine high, and then my shift ends, and if I'm not properly nourished, I just want to eat everything in my refrigerator. So I think it would help me going forward if I take what you said and try to eat more nutrient-rich food in the morning or earlier in the day, so I have the fuel ready to go in through my day and keep me going and not make poor choices.
Yeah.
Key takeaway or a final question, we've talked about a lot, but what do you think is the most important factor or factors in creating a healthy lifestyle?
I think that's going to vary depending on the person. So I'll focus on myself here, like having a vision. And that's part of the reason why I named this DreamBody School. Like, I keep at the forefront of my mind a vision, and some days it's a weaker vision and it seems further away than others. But I think that's how life goes. But basically, I've worked really hard in my adult life to learn self-belief. So if I think that I'm worth it, if I think that I'm strong enough to weather the storms that always come my way, I mean, those two things alone right there are if I believe those two things, and I do, then, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop going for what I want.
Yeah. So I think for me, it comes down to the accountability and the accountability of yourself that can be developed or assisted with help from a mentor or a coach like yourself. So I think that's super important. Yeah. Also, I have a vision board, which I have been using for the past maybe 10 years, where I put all my goals on the board in a photo form. I actually did a YouTube video about it before. So I think that's a tool that helps me stay on track and really compartmentalize what I want to achieve in my life.
I love that.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Branden, for sharing your time and offering a lot of value to the audience. I really enjoyed our talk.
Nakasha, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
So if someone wants to work with you or get in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would go in the caption of this video where Nicastro is going to post the link to my DreamBody School website, which is where you can learn all about it. And that is where I would strongly recommend you go if you just want to learn more about me. Far secondary option. If you don't want to do that for whatever reason and you are a big social media person, you can head on over to check me out on Instagram. I'm very proud of my account. I have a great account. I have a great community, a great following. But the reason why I say it's like a far second is because chances are I'm going to get lost in the shuffle if you go to follow me there. I will only reach about 6% of my actual followers on a given post, and that's across the board for everyone based on algorithms. So that's why I'm a little reluctant. But there are some great videos I have up there. So you can learn more about my philosophy and how I interact. But if you do go the Instagram route, I would make sure that you select to get notifications every time I make a post. You can Google how to do that if you don't know, but those are the two best ways to kind of learn more.
All right, awesome. So again, we'll put Branden's contact information in the description below. Also, we'll include some of his free videos where he does some exercises. I had a good time today. Thank you so much again for offering a lot of value to the audience.
Thank you so much, Nicastro.
So if you like this video and you like what Branden had to say, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to reach out to Branden. We're all in this together and we all want to help you. So please reach out to me, reach out to Branden. We're going to get through this, all right? Thank you.